Hello viewers, the next round of the Gran Turismo World Series Nations Cup is upon us, and this time we are in the Super Formula car around Deep Forest. I think there's no doubt that this is going to be a very interesting combo. I've fired up my beautiful Renault livery Super Formula car, and the first race starts in about 15 minutes, so I need to practice. Practice was a must for this car and track combination, lots of grip around a fairly tight and twisty track. I christened the track by having a nice little spin. Then look at the amount of downforce and grip you can get through this middle sector. It's absolutely bonkers how fast this car is. And so this is just practice, but when we jump into the race and there's going to be 15 other players, it's going to get interesting. Okay, a few laps of practice there. Up to 292 in the world. I think I could go a little bit quicker, but I think qualifying is going to be so important for this. And the main reason for that is the dirty air. This track, as I said, fairly tight twisty, especially in the middle sector, the first and middle sector. And then it's actually going to be quite hard to overtake with the dirty air because just following other cars in these high downforce machines is always something that is not easy to do. And there were just so many factors for this race that were combining to make it into a truly lethal combo. High tyre wear, tight twisty track, and a very fast car. So this would be difficult. Qualifying would therefore be incredibly important, and I was trying my best to really eke out all the time I could. 12.0 on the first lap, which was not too bad but not great either. Into the hairpin, the ever awful hairpin. I really hate this corner. I can never seem to get it dead right. But as we come up to the line, it's going to be a slight improvement to an 11.8. And on the next lap I was only able to slightly improve to an 11.7. So not great, but not too bad. Ooh, grid start for this one. Oh man, this could get chaotic. And yes, this could definitely get very chaotic indeed, as we have a grid start, everyone in very close proximity. Let's go. Away from the line, that guy in front getting a very poor start. Up to the first corner, we're going to go for the inside with the overtake button. A bit too narrow in there. We're not able to complete the move, but we have gained one position. Qualifying 7th on the grid. Moving up now into P6. So let's see what this dirty air is all about through the first sequence of corners. As follow closely, especially behind not just one car, but, well, 5 cars here. The amount of downforce you get, the amount of grip you get, seems to fluctuate, and it's quite difficult to drive. By lap 5, you can see the race has settled down, and I decided I'm going to try and keep a bit of a gap to the car in front, so I don't have to drive too much in the dirty air and wear out my tyres too much. But that did put me under slight threat from the Spaniard behind, who's trying to move up the order. As we head into the hairpin, this is where things slightly unravelled. As we go into the back of this guy, and as we head through the apex, there's a bit of contact with the guy behind, and it's going to give us a very stupid, very dumb penalty. What a joke. Yes, Steve, it was a joke. And we'll look at the replay in a moment and see how silly that was. But dropping down the order here, and we're going to drop down even more when we serve this now 2.5 second penalty. Very painful indeed, as you can see. Most of the pack going flying past, and you know, a moment like that really kills your race. As we've now dropped from a very nice sort of safe P6 to now P11, and actually being challenged for P11. And I actually got myself into a bit of a pickle here by not positioning myself correctly, and Blue Racer was able to pull off a very nice move around the outside and make me look incredibly stupid. Down to P12, and I was about to make myself look even more stupid here, as we kind of turned right into a left-hander, overcorrected, and boom, I'm in the wall. Down now in 16th place, and that just gives you a real demonstration of how easy it is to really unravel a race, and how treacherous this race was. It was really easy just to overdrive. You're on a knife edge the whole time, it felt like. But I tried to get the fastest lap, and at this point I did, an 11.3, just by using all of my boost on one of the laps. So that gave me some crumb of comfort, but not too much. Now, I was just kind of growing into this race. I treated it as a practice session. I kind of accepted that I had messed up completely, and all I could do was keep lapping and just try to learn the car, try to treat it as a practice session. By lap 23, I was in a race to not finish last. I was in P15 out of 15, caught back up with Blue Racer. We're going to go for the inside line here. I've not got any boost left, so I couldn't really complete this move. I'm going to have another look at it. But with this tighter line, it's just a bit harder to get on the power. So Blue Racer able to keep the position around the outside. But we actually had a nice little battle here, and it was a nice little consolation from what was actually a very disastrous race. He took a bit of a wide line there. I was able to get up the inside, running a bit wide to be honest here, but we went side by side through the corner, giving each other plenty of space. But down here I was able to take the wider line, as you can see, and move around the outside. So sometimes that wider line can work in this car. You can get on the power just that much earlier. And I kind of ran out of boost at the end of the race, and so he was able to sweep back by, and I was going to finish in dead last. Wow, what a complete disaster that was. I really think I could have been top 5 there if I had just a clean race, but that's easier said than done around here in these cars. And this is where my race unravelled. Let's take a look. So the car in front had a penalty, slowed down, so we break into the hairpin. I go into him there. 2-second penalty, forcing another car off the track. You see it here, so coming up behind, contact. He didn't go off the track. My braking into this hairpin wasn't the best. So there's a bit of contact there, but if anything, that was him edging me out. But yeah, classic. All right, here we go again. Next race, 334 for first. We know the drill. Let's get this qualifying right. So qualifying was going to be really important. When you're in that mid-pack in the race, it just becomes really difficult to have a clean race. There's so much more going on. There's much more threat of being overtaken, being pushed wide, getting an innocuous penalty. There's lots of things like that. So we're going to try and get towards the front, where you stand a much higher chance of having a cleaner race. And here, you know, I was really comfortable through sector 1. I think I had a really good sort of feeling through that sector. It was the second half of the lap where I could definitely improve. But here, first lap was an 11.7, which matched my best qualifying from the previous race. But I felt really good on this lap. This was probably one of the best laps I drove all day. Coming up to the hairpin, this is where things can really go wrong. I'm purple at the end of sector 2, so I know I'm going to go on to pole at this rate if I can continue and have a good hairpin here. We've actually got the rotation done nicely up into third gear for the traction on the exit. There's no boost to be used in the qualifying session, so I don't have to worry about that. And now it's just a run to the line. Just try to minimise the distance travelled. As we head towards the line, it's going to be a really good lap, an 11.2, and it's going to put me on pole by 0.001. How close is that? So close. Unfortunately, I was not able to improve on my next lap around. And on this following lap, I just really went for it and just pushed a little bit too hard through the first corner. And that meant I had to back out of the lap and end the session. Oh my god, I cannot believe how close that is. P4, I'm really happy with P4. Look how close that is. Between myself and 6th, 0.002 of a second. Unbelievably close, but thankfully, I'm on the good side of that. I'm 4th and I'm not 6th. Yeah, an incredibly close qualifying session. I'm in P4 after a very good lap, 11.2. We're on the left-hand side, the inside for turn number 1. Let's see if we can capitalise on that, get a good start. The lights go out, 1 traction control. Just momentarily, I perhaps release it a bit too soon. Get a bit of wheel spin, looking for the inside. I'm not going to be able to find it. This is going to give a good run to the Turkish driver on the outside who started 5th. And he is going to move up into 4th place. So I'm going to lose a position here. Not a complete disaster, but not ideal. But now we can try and settle into this race. We have survived the first couple of corners, which is obviously the main thing here. This combination was just so lethal. As you know, we drove this track in the Olympics time trial not long ago. Oh my god, everyone just drifting really wide there. Lots of understeer, dirty air, cold tyres. And actually, I'm going to gain the position back immediately. But yeah, we drove this track a lot in the Olympic time trial, and the Super Formula car is just a whole nother level, even compared to a Group 1 Toyota hybrid, which is in itself a very fast car. But these cars with lots of downforce, it just is a whole other animal. By lap number 7, this is where this race unravelled, as I was just really pushing hard to keep up the pace, and I had a 90-degree meeting with Barry Art. Very unfortunate. I was able to recover after losing, well, a couple of seconds and quite a handful of positions. And, this race was very much, to me, looking back at it, a race of survival. As we don't survive here, we actually get pushed a little bit wide with the dirty tyres. I was just pushing a bit too hard to keep up the pace, basically. And the result of that is you drive over the edge slightly, and boom, you make a mistake. And a mistake there. Lots of people spinning. There were lots of yellow flags on this race. Honestly, it was really one that you had to be so careful on. Obviously, you're just trying to drive as quickly as you can, but then you drive a little bit too quickly in the wrong moment, and it's so easy to lose control of the car, especially with low grip. This was a one-stop strategy race. You could do 2 stops, but it wasn't the optimum strategy. So with this one stop, you had to drive on very worn tyres for large portions of the race. And so I can't think of a more sort of dangerous race in a long time. This one was just absolutely crazy. Now, crossing the line here, I was able to recover some positions and get back into a battle with some guys, so it wasn't a complete disaster. I was able to get into some fights with some people, recover some positions, and try to practice being in the dirty air. And catching up with P8 here, using a lot of the boost and then the slipstream to try to overtake and completing the job. But unfortunately, into turn number 1, we had a bit of a coming together on the exit as we got up the inside, not quite able to get on the power, and then a bit of contact from behind. Well done, mate. So yeah, a bit of a frustrating moment, and you can see now the level of grip. Oh my goodness, the car is all over the place, fishtailing violently, as my rear right has absolutely zero grip. I was able to bring it home eventually in a very unsatisfying P12. And that was another disaster. We've got one more race left. We've got to get it right. Okay, guys, this is it. The final chance. I just got to survive. Make it to the end without crashing or getting a penalty or getting run wide or getting pushed off or I think you get the idea. This was very much a race of survival. Make it to the end with minimal mistakes and minimal meetings with the wall. Right, in this qualifying session, for some reason, I just was not able to extract the pace I had in the second qualifying. Only a high 11. It was quite disappointing, to be honest. Wow, I don't know why I was so much slower there. High 11, 11.9. Nowhere near the 11.2. If I did an 11.2, I'd be on pole by 3/10. So it was a bit of a weird session. I just could not extract the pace, but ready for this final race. I'm going to change my approach slightly and just really try to bring the car home and make it to the end and minimal mistakes. Away from the grid we go. A couple of cars going very early there, and we're going to overtake the Frenchman. Kind of deja vu of the first race, where we did kind of a similar thing. Moving up one position therefore, trying to preserve P6. A bit of a hit from behind. We are going to get rear bumper damage, but I'm going to try to retain P6. So that's a bonus. We've moved up a position this time around compared to losing one, and it's going to be 2 positions. Car very wide there. See, I had a bit of a snap moment of oversteer. Presumably with that damage, plus the dirty air, plus the cold tyres. Lots of things to think about, and not much time to think about them, given how fast this Super Formula car is. With this left-hander, really difficult corner, one that I definitely wasn't getting quite right during the course of this race, or the previous 2 races, as you really do have to be quite brave on the exit and really risk running wide, getting a penalty, and oversteering and smashing yourself into oblivion. But here we find ourselves in P5, a little bit wide here in the hairpin. You can see pretty much everyone going wide. These cold tyres, the car just does not want to turn at all. I felt like I had to use a bit of the overtake button just to preserve my position. I didn't really want to lose too much at the start, but like I said earlier, I was going to change my approach, and so if someone was definitely quicker, I wasn't going to fight it too much, just hoping that I would play the long game and try to win out over the course of 24 laps. So for the exit of turn 1, running the curb on the exit, trying to get on the power as early as possible. This sector up here is absolutely beautiful in this car. So much grip, not beautiful for that guy who's found himself in the wall. And I've moved now up into P4. So a solid couple of laps here, well, a lap and a half, and I've moved from 7th to 4th. And so, you know, this race looking a bit more promising than the ones before, but it's only lap 2. There's plenty of laps left for me to completely bin it and ruin it for myself. But moving forward here to lap number 5, you can see CRG Matty, very quick guy from Britain, just trying to get onto the back of the Spaniard, and he was very much doing that now by the end of the 5th lap. And he eventually went for that overtake, and I felt like, okay, this Spaniard in front looks somewhat vulnerable. I'm going to try and do the same, and he made this big mistake here on the exit of the hairpin. And I felt like with the slipstream plus a bit of overtake button, this should be a slam dunk overtake. Let's see if he defends it. He moves to the left, as indeed he does. We're going to sweep back to the right. Bit of overtake button just to fully assist me past. And we are able to get the job done, defending to the inside just to fully cover it off. And that's me into 3rd place. So this is looking good. Feeling a lot more comfortable in the car. He tries the old switcheroo on the exit, but he isn't quite able to get it done. And we're going to move into a podium position at the moment. Lap 7, so still plenty of time left yet. Matty in front with a penalty, actually. You might have just spotted. And so when he served that penalty, I definitely got a little bit closer. And that would assist me down the straights for a while at least. As I was really just trying to use the car in front as a barometer for the pace. Just trying to keep up with him. Not necessarily trying to overtake, but just trying to keep up. This is the end of lap 11. Matty was very quick, and he was able just to pull away by a second and a half or so. And I had a bit of a moment on the exit of that corner, as we spoke about earlier. Just really trying to push the acceleration point a little bit earlier. The rear tyre especially now. I mean, the right-hand tyre is just really struggling, and that really doesn't help you on any left-hander, of which there are many around here. Now, this German managed to go through, Maxo, and so I didn't want to fight it too much. As I said, I didn't really want to risk anything too silly. So if he was quicker, I was going to let him go. Into the pit lane we go. End of the first stint. Returning to the circuit in 8th place with the Spaniard in tow, about a second behind. So some element of pressure, but just trying to keep our cool here. Another yellow flag. Lots of yellow flags, it must be said, during the course of this race, as people were falling off in various combinations at some point in some way, and often it was me doing the falling off the track. But so far, so good. Now, as we head on to the end of lap number 12, I had a bit of a challenge here from the Spaniard, as I didn't really have much speed through the hairpin. The hairpin was definitely one of my weakest corners on this track, and it made me vulnerable down the main straight, which is quite hard to defend when someone has overtake and an entire straight and your slipstream. And so a little bit later on, lap 13, only 2 laps into this second stint, for some reason I was just overdriving here a little bit, just turning a bit too soon. That made my tyres a little bit dirty, and through here, the corner we spoke about earlier, getting on the power a bit too soon. Luckily, I didn't spin and face the wrong way. I was able to deflect off the barrier with some damage, it must be said, but maybe about a total time loss of about 5 or 6 seconds. I thought, this guy's going to come through, there's no point fighting it, I've got damage, and therefore I'm going to be slow down the subsequent straights. So this was an unfortunate moment, but definitely not as bad as the crashes I had in the first and the second race. And so I was able to continue in P5. So yes, definitely very frustrating to lose that time and lose a couple of positions, but I'm in I'm still in P5, so I'm definitely with a shout of getting a decent result here. Just trying to pull away from the Spaniard behind, the French player behind. And I was actually really comfortable through this first sector, as I've touched upon a few times. I was able to really open up this gap. This guy would gain on me in the second half of the lap, and I would pull away in the first half. You see there, even going purple by 0.2 in the first split alone. And so that was really my biggest defence, my speed through the first sector. It just kept the guy behind at a safe distance, He wasn't able to get much closer than about 1 second, and that just gave me a bit of breathing room to really settle down into this stint. Now the Spaniard in front, who we battled with earlier, manages to have a spin, so I wasn't the only one who was having an accident on the exit of the hairpin. So I was back into 4th place, 10 seconds off the lead, with my right rear tyre now completely dead. It had died of death many laps ago, and now I was basically dragging around a corpse of a tyre with 0 grip and hoping for the best. This is where things could definitely go horrifically wrong with this fast and sweeping first sector. With this left, you see there, it's definitely the left-handers where you're going to struggle on tyres like this. The right-hand tyres all getting loaded up whenever you turn left, and so those are the corners I had to be really careful of, especially this downhill left as well. And then this corner seemed to be my nemesis. Are we able to get through here? Just really under driving through there. But you see the Frenchman behind getting quite close, and I was very worried if I don't hurry up here, he's going to get in my slipstream, perhaps could have a lot of overtake left, and there's definitely a chance you could lose the position coming up to the finish line given the length of the straight from here to the finish. Luckily enough, I was able to get on the boost, get enough power, and I was going to bring home a 4th place. So after lots of crashing, lots of disaster races, I was able to finally get a solid result. Oh my god, guys, P4. I can tell you, I am happy that is over. I am so happy that is done. Maybe without that mistake, could have got a podium, but I think it was a good result overall. Okay, how many points? 293. You know what? That's not too bad. That was a really treacherous race, and I think I'm just happy to get to the end and finish at all. Let's take a look at the scores. 47th in the region, 10th in the UK. So now it's counting our 2 best scores out of the 3 we've done so far. So now I'm on 613, 10th in the UK. We've actually moved up the order, so it's pretty good. Round 4 is on Wednesday, Maggior Group 4 cars. But in the meantime, guys, have a great day. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.